The Atlanta Hawks have been eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by the New York Knicks. So in today's video, we're going to rebuild the Hawks in hopes of winning this team a championship. And after taking a look at the Hawks roster, we definitely have a good young player in Jalen Johnson we could build this team's future around, who was having a leap year, averaging 22 points per game, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. Another player who had a breakout season was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who went from averaging 9 points per game all the way to 21 points per game, plus he's on one of the best contracts in the NBA, 3-year, $44 million contract. So he's definitely a player we're going to keep around for the future as well. CJ McCollum, $30 million will be expiring, so hopefully we have some money to play with in free agency. And now let's go ahead and simulate past the playoffs and see which team goes on to win the championship. And Alperen Sengun goes on to win Western Conference Finals MVP, Jalen Brunson Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So we have the Rockets taking on the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks going to win with Karl Anthony Towns winning Finals MVP. We are now here in the off season, and before I continue, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers, so please make sure you drop a thumbs up on this video, subscribe if you're new, and hype the video. All 3 buttons are absolutely free and help out my channel a ton. It is now time for the draft lottery, and it says we have the 7th best odds ending up with a first overall pick via the New Orleans Pelicans. I truly hope that pick is not lottery protected. That would suck. So let's go ahead and skip to results and see where we end up. And we just ended up with a 2nd overall pick via the New Orleans Pelicans. Holy, that changes a lot for our team's future. I had absolutely no idea we were going to end up with a lottery pick, let alone a top 3 pick in the 2026 draft. That means we're going to end up with Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, or AJ Debonsa. The 3rd overall pick the Clippers have, but that's going back to the Pacers since that is top 4 protected, so let me go and change that. And out of Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, and AJ Debonsa, I would say that Darren Peterson would make the most sense for our team's future. But the problem is, all 3 mock drafts having him being drafted with the 1st overall pick by the Utah Jazz. So what I think I'm going to try and do is trade up for that 1st overall pick so we could draft ourselves Darren Peterson. We are talking with the Utah Jazz for the 1st overall pick, so I'm going to go ahead and throw them the 2nd overall pick, the 23rd overall pick, and we also have a 2nd rounder, and I will try and throw them a player, maybe somebody like Buddy Hield. It looks like they want Dyson Daniels for Lauri Markkanen. I don't really need Markkanen and his large contract on this team, so I will throw in another future 1st round pick, and that gets a trade done. Did we give up too much? Maybe, but I mean, we do end up with a 1st overall pick. And now it is time for the 2026 NBA draft, where we're going to be drafting ourselves Darren Peterson with the 1st overall pick. The Utah Jazz have the 2nd overall pick, and let's see who they take. They go on to take Cameron Boozer. The Indiana Pacers take AJ Debonsa. For team player options, we are not going to pick up the $24 million team option on Jonathan Kuminga. We're going to go ahead and decline that because we could probably sign him in free agency for a lot cheaper. Zachary Ricochet, I will pick up the $13 million team option on, and honestly, we may not even need Kuminga. Let's see how much money we have here to spend in free agency. We are not able to sign a max player, but we do have about $25 million we could spend in free agency, so let me see which player signing would make the most sense, and I'll show you guys once I come up with that decision. Next year's free agency is going to be stacked. Nikola Jokic will be a free agent, and the same with Giannis and Victor Wembanyama. So this year we're going to save our money and not sign ourselves any big names, since the biggest name right now is LeBron James, but I mean, he's 41 years old and only going to continue to regress. So for now, we're just going to sign ourselves a backup center. Isaiah Hartenstein will do. He wants about $9 million, so let's go ahead and offer him a 4-year deal, paying him $9 million annually, and it looks like he will be accepting on a 4-year, $38 million contract. We could re-sign ourselves Jonathan Kuminga, but I mean, do we really want to pay him $14 million, or would we much rather save that money for next year's free agency and sign ourselves a player like Jokic, Giannis, or another big name in free agency? So for that reason, I think we're going to let Jonathan Kuminga go, and same for CJ McCollum. We are now ready for this season, and this will be the brand new 9-man rotation. So in our starting lineup, we currently have ourselves Darren Peterson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, and Onyeka Okongwu. And then off the bench, we have Zachary Ricochet, Isaiah Hartenstein, Ozzy Noel, and Scottie Pippen Jr. Will this team win a championship? Honestly, I'm not too sure, but I do know we most definitely will be playoff contenders. And then next offseason, once we go out there and sign ourselves a big free agent, most definitely we're going to be championship contenders. So now let's go ahead and simulate the first few games of this season. The first game is up against the Milwaukee Bucks, who we do go on to lose by 1 single point. Darren Peterson in his NBA debut dropping 25 points with 4 assists. 15 from iHeart and 14 from Okongwu. Can we defeat the Pistons? And yes, we can. We go on to score 140 points. Now I had 23, 22 from Johnson, and 21 from Peterson. We will be rolling with a 4-star overall system proficiency, perimeter-centric under Quinn Schneider. I'm now going to start simulating here until the end of this season, but if there are any trades to be made, which I think there will be, I'll be seeing y'all at the trade deadline. At the end of this season, Anthony Edwards goes on to win MVP, and our boy Jalen Johnson was a second runner-up to winning MVP right behind Anthony Edwards. Darren Peterson goes on to win Rookie of the Year, having himself a phenomenal rookie season. Damian Lillard, 6-man, Wemby Defensive Player, Risa Shea, Most Improved, let's go, 2 awards already. Devin Booker, Clutch Player, Chris Finch, Coach of the Year, and the Timberwolves win Executive. Let's see, so we do land Jalen Johnson on an all-NBA first team. Will we get any more awards here? Looks like we do not. What about an all-defensive team? No Dyson Daniels, but that is alright because this season, we ended up as the number 1 seed, winning a total of 66 games and losing only 16. And honestly, our team blew my expectations, let alone did I think we're going to be a top 3 team. We end this season as the number 1 seed. That is very impressive, and I'll show you guys why here in a second. Let's go to player stats and see how our team players were playing. So the leading scorer was Jalen Johnson, averaging 25, 10, and 7. We had Nickel averaging 21 points per game and 19 points per game from our rookie Darren Peterson. And I believe a big reason to why we had so much regular season success is because of Darren Peterson's performance. I did not expect him to be playing this well in his rookie season, but he was averaging 19 points per game with 6 assists, 1.5 steal, half a block on 50-40 shooting splits. And then we had Risa Shea averaging 17 points per game as our 6-man, shooting 42% from the 3-point line and 12 from Okongwu. And now in the first round of the playoffs, we are going to be taking on the Indiana Pacers, who have themselves Tyrese Haliburton, Tim Hardaway Jr., AJ Debonsa, Pascal Siakam, and Avia Zubac. The crazy part is the only addition we even made to this roster so far in this video is getting ourselves Isaiah Hartenstein and drafting Darren Peterson. We still haven't even made a big move, but we're already the number 1 seed. Let's see how we do here against the Indiana Pacers in the first round of the playoffs. Game number 1 does end up going to us. Jalen Johnson with 32, 11, and 6. 27 from Nickel, 19 and 12 from Darren Peterson. Game number 2 does end up going to the Indiana Pacers. They defeat us here by 10 points. Nickel played amazing, so did Jalen Johnson, but sadly we do fall short. Game 3 we go on to win. Game 4 the Pacers go on to win. Game 5 the Pacers win, and don't tell me we're going to be eliminated to a play-in team. And thankfully we are pushing it to a Game 7. We go on to win here in Game 6, 125 to 108. Jalen Johnson had 35 and 25 from Peterson. It is now time for Game 7. Are we going to be eliminated here in the first round by a play-in team, or can we make it to the second round? Let's go into Simcast and find out. We do have home court advantage on our side, and so far we start off the first half really strong, and it looks like we are going to be winning 147 to 119. Darren Peterson led the way here with 29 points, 27 from Na, and 24 from Risa Shea. We have made it out of the first round, and now we're going to be taking on the Orlando Magic here in the second round. They have themselves Anthony Black, Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. They were the number 4 seed, so let's see how things go here. Game number 1, we do end up winning. Peterson leading the way here, dropping 30 points, 22 from Na and 15 from Daniels. Game number 2, we also go on to win. Okay, so Nickel dropping 22, 21 from Johnson, and so far Johnson in the playoffs is averaging 23, and Na is averaging 25 points per game on 50, 40, 83 shooting splits. Let's see if we could end up going 3-0 here, and we do also go on to win Game 3, 132 to 119. Na had 37, 29, 4, and 11 from Jalen Johnson. Are we going to sweep the Orlando Magic? And yes, we do. In Game 4, we go on to win here 133 to 132 by 1 single point, and Jalen Johnson had himself a 42-point triple-double. We have now made the Eastern Conference Finals, and we're either going to have to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Detroit Pistons, and it will be the number 3 seeded Detroit Pistons. They have themselves Cade Cunningham, Norman Powell, Asar Thompson, Ron Holland, and Jalen Duren. In the Western Conference Finals, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Dallas Mavericks. So let's see how things go here. Game number 1, we do end up winning. Jalen Johnson with 33, 28 from Nah, and 26 from Dyson Daniels. And he's been playing pretty well here in the playoffs. Game number 2 does end up going to the Pistons. They defeat us here by 40 points. Holy, our defense was awful. Game number 3, we do end up winning 135 to 105. Jalen Johnson with a 30-point double-double. Game number 4 does go to the Pistons. Game number 5 goes to us. And are we going to be going to the NBA Finals? Yes, we are. Anthony Edwards, Western Conference Finals MVP. Jalen Johnson, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. And honestly, I was not expecting our team to make it this far here at all in the first year of this rebuild. But now we're taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. And they have themselves Dante DiVincenzo, Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. I think this series is going to be the most difficult series we've had yet. Let's see how things go. Game number 1, we do go and win 136 to 130. Jalen Johnson with 36 and 11. Daniels with 18 and 18 from Isaiah Hartenstein. Game number 2 does end up going to the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards dropping 44 points on our heads. Game number 3, we do end up winning, putting us up 2-1, 120 to 108. Nah led the way here with 29 and 23 from Peterson. If we're able to go up 3-1, the series will be a lot more in our favor, so let's see if we can make that happen. We will jump into Simcast where we do have home court advantage. And so far, the Timberwolves do have the lead. We are kind of pushing back. Never mind, they're up by a lot and they go on to defeat us by nearly 20 points. Jalen Johnson had a 27-point triple-double, but sadly that was not enough. And now the series is tied at 2-2 apiece. Timberwolves will have home court advantage here for game 5. And once again, they are blowing us out. They go on to win here by almost 30 points. Jalen Johnson played amazing once again, but sadly our defense was pretty awful. And now we are down 3-2. Will we be able to push this to a game 7? Let's find out. We do have home court advantage on our side, and so far, it's a back and forth battle, and we go on to... Whoa, I thought we were going to win in the 4th quarter, but it looks like we went to overtime and still ended up winning by 1 single point. 151 to 115. Peterson led the way here with 37, 28 from Johnson, and 25 from Nah. It is now time for Game 7, winner go home situation. Let's see if we're able to win ourselves a championship. The Timberwolves do have home court advantage, and so far they do have the lead by quite a bit, and it looks like they are going to be eliminating us 139 to 109. Jalen Johnson did play amazing, having 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists, but sadly our defense allowed them to score 139 points, and just like that, the Timberwolves go on to defeat us here to win a championship, with Anthony Edwards winning Finals MVP. I mean, the fact that our team even made it all the way to the NBA Finals and pushed the Timberwolves to a Game 7 series means we're only a few pieces away from winning a championship, so that's definitely something we're going to look forward to doing this offseason. Maybe making some trades, bringing in some new players, free agency signings, and hopefully that pushes us over this hump. Here are the player stats for the playoffs, where we played a total of 24 games. The leading scorer was Jalen Johnson, averaging 25, 8, and 7. 25 from Nah, 19 from Peterson, and 13 from Ricochet. And once again, we may end up with a lottery pick via the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, I had no clue we were going to even have ourselves a lottery pick, but it looks like we do have the Milwaukee Bucks pick. Unless that's a lottery protected, let's see where that ends up. And it's not lottery protected, so we do end up with the 12th overall pick in the 2027 NBA draft. And honestly, we don't really need the 12th overall pick since we won't have time to develop that young player we go on to draft. We are trying to win a championship now. So I'm going to be trading away the 12th overall pick to the Dallas Mavericks for a 2029 first round pick and a swap worse 2030 with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And team player options, of course, we will be picking up the team option on Zachary Ricochet and Azza Noel. And qualifying offers, it looks like we don't need to re-sign anybody here. So how much money do we have in free agency? We do have about $11 million. Not enough to sign ourselves a Giannis or Jokic, but what I am going to try and do is free up some salary so we could go out there and sign ourselves a big name. The first player we're going to be trading is Corey Kispert and his $13 million contract to the Charlotte Hornets, where we get ourselves a first round pick. We don't really need that second rounder, so let's go ahead and pull off this trade. I am going to try and free up some more salary, and I'll show you guys once I come up with the trades. And even if we trade away Dyson Daniels and his $24 million contract, we still won't have enough money to sign ourselves a Giannis Antetokounmpo or Jokic, who wants about $67 million. But don't you guys worry, since I did promise a superstar free agency signing, what I will be doing is trying to trade for a superstar. So we're going to allow all these players to get signed, then we're going to go talk with some teams and see if we can make some trades happen. With the money that we do have in free agency, I am going to go ahead and sign some role players like Derek Lively II. He wants about $10 million. I'm going to go ahead and offer him a 4-year deal where we pay him about $11.5 million annually. It looks like he will be accepting on a 4-year, basically a $50 million contract. And we do also have enough money for Josh Hart. He wants about $5 million. He does currently have 5 offers from 5 separate teams, but I'm going to try and outbid them. He could be a good fit on this team. We're going to go ahead and offer him a 4-year deal, paying him about $7 million annually. It looks like we get both Derek Lively II and Josh Hart. I do hope we have enough money for them, and we do. I have tried to trade for every star player you guys could think of, and there's one trade that I have just found right now, which would land us Tyrese Haliburton and Avia Zubac. We're definitely going to be making this trade happen. We get ourselves one of the best point guards currently in the NBA in Tyrese Haliburton. We also land Avia Zubac, who could be our brand new starting center. We're going to be sending the Indiana Pacers Onyeka Okongwu, Dyson Daniels, a first-round pick, Josh Hart, and Derek Lively II for Tyrese Haliburton and Avia Zubac. I did sign ourselves CJ McCollum on a 1-year minimum contract. He is 35 years old, so he might start regressing, but that's alright because we're only going to be playing him about 10 to 15 minutes per game, so hopefully he could come off the bench unit and provide us with some scoring. I do also going to sign ourselves Julian Strother on a 2-year, $8 million contract. I'm not sure if he's going to be a part of this rotation, but he's definitely somebody that could be the backup small forward. And it looks like, never mind, so the Denver Nuggets did match that offer, but we do get Draymond Green on a 1-year minimum. We do currently need ourselves a backup small forward, so maybe somebody like Dalton Connect, a good 3-point shooter. I'm going to go ahead and offer him a 2-year deal, paying him about $4 million. Looks like he will be accepting. This might really just be the season we go out there and win ourselves a championship. Darren Peterson's progression was huge. He went up in 9 overall, which I've never seen in a player before in 2K simulation. He's now almost up to a 90 overall after just 1 year in the NBA. Now, this is going to be the 9-man rotation, so in the starting lineup, we currently have Tyrese Haliburton, Darren Peterson, Zachary Risachet, Jalen Johnson, and Zubac. And then off the bench, we have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Isaiah Hartenstein, Ozzy Noel, and Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson is a player I signed in free agency. We were able to get him for fairly cheap, so that's why I went ahead and signed him. And now let's go ahead and simulate the first few games of this season to see how we do. The first game is up against the Detroit Pistons, and we go on to defeat them 133-130. Darren Peterson with 31, 24 from Johnson, 23 and 12 from Tyrese Haliburton. We also defeat the Miami Heat, and yes, we can. We score 139 points. Peterson with 31, 29 from Risachet, 26 and 14 from Johnson, 21 and 18 from Hallie. Let's see if we can go 3 of 3 for the first week of this season, and it looks like we do once again, scoring over 130 points. 137 to 130. Hallie had 29 points with 21 assists. Jalen Johnson with a 27-point double-double and 24 from Nah. What I like most about our team's offense is Darren Peterson and Jalen Johnson could be the main scorers, whereas Tyrese Haliburton could be the main playmaker. He's already averaging 17 assists per game, plus he can score when we need him to. Let's take a look at the system proficiency, and we are rolling with a 4.5 star overall system proficiency, perimeter centric under Quinn Snyder. And now I'm going to start simulating here until the end of this season, but if there are any trades to be made, we will be stopping at the trade deadline to show you all. This season our team has made the NBA Cup Finals, and we are taking on the Phoenix Suns, where we do have home court advantage. Let's go out there and see if we could win ourselves the NBA Cup. So far, we do have the lead. It looks like we are going to be winning here 131 to 100. Peterson led the way with 30 points, 22 from Nah, a 19-point double-double from Zubac. And Jalen Johnson goes on to win NBA Cup MVP, averaging nearly a 30-point triple-double on 61, 57, 86 shooting splits. Let's go. We are here at contract extension day, and a few players on our team do want to sign contract extensions. I am going to go ahead and extend Nickeil Alexander-Walker on a 2-year contract, paying him about $16 million annually, which he goes on to happily accept. And Zubac is on an expiring contract, so we're going to extend him for the next 3 seasons, paying him about $11 million annually, and he also happily accepts. There's 1 game remaining of this season, and Jalen Johnson is the runner-up to winning MVP, so let's go ahead and see if he can go on to win. We do defeat the Lakers, and it looks like Jalen Johnson goes on to win his first ever MVP, averaging 26 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists on 50, 40, 75 shooting splits. Let's go. Tyrone Stokes wins Rookie of the Year, Josh Giddey 6-Man, Victor Wembanyama Defensive Player, Cam Whitmore Most Improved, Luka Doncic Clutch Player, our head coach Quinn Snyder wins Coach of the Year, and we also go on to win Executive of the Year. And of course, the MVP Jalen Johnson makes it on an All NBA First Team. Let's see if we do get, okay, so Tyrese Haliburton as well on an All NBA Second Team. That is what I'm talking about. What about on an all defensive team? Do we get anybody here? And it looks like we don't, but that is all right. And we ended this season once again as the #1 seed, but this season we won 73 games and lost only 9. We've been absolutely unstoppable in the regular season, but hopefully now we could go out there and win ourselves a championship. Before we start simulating the playoffs, let's go ahead and take a look at the player stats. So of course, our leading scorer was the MVP Jalen Johnson, averaging 26 points per game. Haliburton was averaging 22 points with 11.5 assists. Amazing playmaking here from Tyrese Haliburton, 20 from Darren Peterson, 16 from Reese Shea, 16 from Nah, and 11 from Avia Zubac. Alrighty, I have fixed up the player minutes, and now it's time for the first round of the playoffs where we're taking on the Boston Celtics. They have themselves Peyton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, Hugo, Jason Tatum, and Marvin Bagley II, and this will be their bench unit. The Celtics are a playing team, but I mean, they still have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So let's see how things go here. Game #1 does end up going to the Boston Celtics. As I said, they still have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It looks like they also picked up Cam Thomas. Can we at least go on to win game #2? And yes, we can. We go on to win here 139-123. Reese Shea with 25 and Jalen Johnson with a 25-point triple-double. Game #3, we also end up winning. Jalen Johnson with 35, 15, and 9. Haliburton with a 12-point double-double. And Darren Peterson with 26. Game #4, we do end up winning, putting us up 3-1. Jalen Johnson with a 39-point triple-double. And so far here in the playoffs, he's averaging himself a 28-point triple-double. 22 from Zubac and 20 from Nickeil. And are we going to gentlemen sweep the Celtics? Yes, we are. Haliburton leading the way here with 26 and 14. Jalen Johnson with 26, 12, and 9. And now we have made it to the second round of the playoffs where we are taking on the Toronto Raptors. They have themselves Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl. The exact same starting lineup as in real life. So let's see how things go here. Game #1 does end up going to us. Let's go. Haliburton with 35 and 12. Johnson with 35 and 15. Can we also go on to win game 2? And yes, we can. Nah leading the way here as our 6-man with 31 points. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, in my opinion, should have won 6-man of the year. Bro was balling out for us on 50, 40, 90 shooting splits. 26 from Peterson and 20 from Reese Shea. Game #3, we also end up winning here in overtime, 133-118. And holy, in overtime period, we outscored them 22-7. Peterson led the way here with 27, 22 from Johnson, 21 and 15 from Zoo. And this is the third series in this playoffs where team is up 3-0. The Indiana Pacers and Magic, and then we have the Spurs taking on the Thunder where they're also up 3-0. Can we go on to sweep the Toronto Raptors? Yes, we can. We go on to win 131-113 where Reese Shea led the way here with 26 points. Ali with a 23-point double-double, and Jalen Johnson with a triple-double. We have made the Eastern Conference Finals, and we're either going to have to take on the Indiana Pacers or the Orlando Magic, and of course, it will be the Indiana Pacers who we made a massive trade with, so clearly the trade has helped both teams a lot. Haliburton is going to look for revenge against his former team, the Pacers. who now have themselves Andrew Nemhard, Dyson Daniels, AJ Debonsa, Pascal Siakam, and Derek Lively II, with the Kongwu coming off their bench unit, and as well as Josh Hart, who we also sent their way. In the Western Conference Finals, we have the Spurs taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, but now let's see if we could defeat the Indiana Pacers. Game number 1 does end up going to us, Jalen Johnson with 29 and 14, 23 from Nah. Let's see if we could also go on to win game 2, and yes we can, putting us up 2-0. We go on to win here 135-116. Halliburton leading the way with 28 points and 13 assists, 28 from Darren Peterson. Game number 3 will also go to us, and now we're up 3-0, winning game 3, 125-115. Halliburton has been leading the way once again, 28 points and 11 assists. He wants that get back against his former team. That's exactly what he may get. Zachary Risichet with 23 and 22 from Peterson. In game number 4, we do not end up sweeping the Pacers. We do not gentlemen sweep them either. Never mind, Halliburton may not get his revenge after all, but never. Okay, so we do go on to win in game 6. That would have been pretty insane if they pushed us to game 7, but thankfully that was not the case. In game 6, we go on to win 150-134. Johnson with 37 and 13, Halliburton with 21 and 17 assists. Now we have made the NBA Finals. We're either going to have to take on the San Antonio Spurs or the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it will be Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. Jalen Johnson goes on to win Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Let's take a look at the Spurs roster. So they have themselves De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Vassell, Bridges, Victor Wembanyama, and a 90 overall Dylan Harper as their 6th man. The Spurs were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and we were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Let's see which team is better. Game number 1 does go to us, and Darren Peterson with 40 points, 7 rebounds, and 10 assists. Jalen Johnson with a double-double, and Halliburton with a double-double as well. Game number 2, we also going to win. Peterson leading the way here with 30 points, 25 from Hallie, and 25 from Risichet. We also win game 3, and yes, we can. Halliburton 27, Johnson with a 26-point triple-double, and 15 from Peterson. We might just be sweeping the San Antonio Spurs. Let's jump into Simcast here and see what happens. The Spurs do have home court advantage, and so far they do have the lead, and it looks like they will be defeating us here 135-115. Halliburton had 26, 20 from Peterson, but we do fall short. We will have home court advantage for this next game, but the Spurs do have the lead so far, and they go on to defeat us 124-121. Okay, so they are kind of pushing back here. Johnson played amazing, but we did allow them to score 124 points. Hopefully they are not able to push this to a game 7. Let's see what happens here. The Spurs do have home court advantage for game 6. And so far we do have the lead, and it looks like we will be winning 144-121. Halliburton leading the way with 34 and 17. Jalen Johnson with a 34-point triple-double and 22 from Darren Peterson. And just like that, we go on to win the Atlanta Hawks a championship, with Jalen Johnson winning Finals MVP, averaging a 25-point triple-double. And that is a perfect way to end out this video, but I would like to show you guys the player stats before I do. So in the playoffs, we played a total of 21 games, and in those 21 games, the leading scorer was Jalen Johnson, averaging 25, 12, and 9. 23 and 12 from Halliburton, 21 from Peterson, and 16 from Zachary Risichet. Nickel has been amazing as well, 15 off of the bench unit. In the NBA Finals, we played a total of 6 games, and in those 6 games, the leading scorer was Jalen Johnson once again, this time averaging a 25-point triple-double. 24 and 13 from Halliburton, 24 from Peterson, and 17 from Nickel Alexander-Walker. And now that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe for more NBA 2K26 videos, and click here on the screen to watch my latest upload. Until next time, it's your boy Dragon, and I'm out. Peace.